We're good. Hello. Welcome to this second ever episode of the Chaotic Catchup. My name is Alex. I am the Dungeon Master, Creative Director, whatever you want to call it, of the group. And with me today is the fantastic Lauren. You are that side to me and on the stream. So, Lauren, how are you today?
Well, you're on that side to me, so I'm fine, Alex. How are you?
I'm very good. Yep, Ryan is in the background doing the tech for us, so we don't have to worry about any of that. Quick thing, if you want to ask any questions to be answered by either me or Lauren during the evening, well, I say the evening, during this half hour, 40 minutes, do put them in the Twitch chat, and then we'll do a little section at the end where we'll answer any questions that you do have. So, first question, Lauren, what have you got in your cup?
Well, considering that we have a sports team running about a field tonight, I thought it had to be a good old iron brew.
Good job. I'm other drinks are indeed available. And I've got a cloudy lemonade with a pink gin or something. It's a berry gin liqueur, I think it is, because I'm fancy.
That does sound quite good, actually.
It's very yummy, very tart. Something I like.
Excuse you?
Yeah. Yes. Shut up. So first things first, really. Lauren, why are you insane enough to decide I want to play Dungeons and Dragons? What was your big hurrah moment?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been something that I've been aware of forever. It's just I've not really been around people that have actively been playing it.
Yeah,
got a couple of friends who were doing sort of campaigns on Dragon Age and things like that. And this was about 5-6 years ago now, and they did invite me to join in on that. I couldn't do it at the time. Alethia was actually a name that I'd had in my head for a character since then. So it's actually come all the way through with me, which I think has been quite nice, actually. So she's sort of in the works for about 6 years, and she's finally emerged into the world. But yeah, yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Fantasy, and it has always been one of those genres that has always just really appealed to me. So I grew up on sort of like fantasy and sci-fi TV, and I've always read fantasy books, and just a natural extension of that.
Yeah, I was when I was thinking about what to ask you today, and I was thinking about what your inspiration must be, and then I was like, the amount of books that I know you and Ryan both read, it's got to come from some kind of fantasy novel, I would have thought. But it's interesting that you say that you've had the name and kind of character idea for Alethia around for quite a long time. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know where it came from, to be honest. It was just my friend had asked me if I wanted to join the campaign, and I was having a little think about names, and I don't know, it just sort of popped into my head and stayed there. So must have been meant to be.
Must have been. So, following on from that, really, what do you think Alethia is kind of feeling just now, like with everything that's going on, with obviously, spoiler alert, this is going to contain spoilers for people watching if you aren't entirely caught up. If you haven't watched episode 3, go and watch it. VOD is currently on Twitch. It will be available on YouTube on Friday. Sorry.
I'm glad you did that, because I was going to do exactly the same thing when I started.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched that, either close your ears or go back and watch it, and then watch this on the VOD. Where am I going to? There. So how do you think Alethea's feeling now, like with the death of Lynn, and like kind of feeling like I get the feeling from watching you play that Alethea feels a bit lost at the moment. Is that something I can presume correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big thing about her is that she doesn't really know her place in the world. She's, I mean, she grew up in a really remote little town just with her mum. She never knew her dad. She was surrounded by humans, so she's never known any other elves to find out anything about her heritage or what it is to be an elf. She never really had anyone to guide her with her magic, so she doesn't really know what she's really capable of. And what she does have at the moment, she's sort of just stumbled upon as and when it's been required, or it's sort of come naturally in situations where she's maybe been scared or sad or something like that, and she's just suddenly produced this jet of fire out of her hand. And she had to learn how to control that herself because she's never really had any guidance. And yeah, she was always sort of told to hide because the people in her village or her town were really sort of superstitious because of events that had sort of happened in the past when she was a baby. Stuff happened in the village which caused them to be incredibly superstitious, really not trusting of anyone who was even remotely different or magical. So she's just been forced to hide her entire life. She's always worn hats or headbands or had her hair over her ears just to hide the fact that they're not human ears, so she's now in this world and with this group of people who just don't care that she's half elf, and she's never had that before. I mean, I think the only person she's really been able to be her true self with before was Lynn. And I mean, they did have a fair period of time where they were sort of journeying together, sort of helping each other out with their respective quests, as it was. And they bonded a lot. They found out that they had a lot in common. And Lynn was the first person who really understood her, kind of. And then obviously we lost him, so she'd lost that stability in her life. And I think that's why she's been on a bit of a roller coaster with her emotions, and she doesn't take to people dying very well.
No. No, I've noticed.
There are obviously reasons for that that haven't sort of come out in the course of the story yet, but I'm sure they will at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I know that like when kind of just speaking to like select people, whenever I talk to Ruth about things, like when we're just like chatting about the campaign and what's going on, she always brings up like, I just want to know more about Alethea. I just keep going, well then ask her. She might tell you. He's like, yeah, I just want to know. I want to know more. I want to know more. It's like, well, then you need to ask her.
Yeah, no, it's definitely because she is quite guarded. She doesn't really let people in very easily. But she has so much heart and she cares so much, and she's fiercely protective of people that she loves. And I don't think she was expecting to find the kinds of relationships that she has with this party, because she was never meant to have stuck around for this long. So I think she's sort of had her opinions changed about certain people, and she's actually found she's starting to feel a bit more at home with them. So
that's nice. That's nice to hear.
Yeah, it might be the case that she'll open up a little bit more now, but until this point, she's definitely just not really wanted to give away too much.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel now that we're in a situation, like the first kind of situation where, like within the group, this is the first time that she's not had someone if that makes sense. Like first she had Lynn, and then he sadly passed, but there was Turd, and then now Turd sadly isn't with us due to party mistakes.
Turd is currently in a bag.
He's already chopped up in a bag.
Yeah.
Just in a haversack, just kind of floating over your shoulder. How do you think she's going to? Well, how do you think she feels now within the group? Thinking
not doing really well,
like,
to be honest.
Yeah, like there's no, like, she hasn't got anyone. That was her initial rock, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And through her life, there's been consistent, even just one person at a time who's sort of been there for her, and she's had that connection with. This is the first time that she has ever felt completely alone. She's going into a bit of a catatonic state, to be honest. I mean, remember at the end of the last Friday episode, I think it was Haston that came over and just sort of checked on her, and all she could literally do was sit there just staring straight ahead and just pat his hand, and that's it. That's all she's capable of right now, because she's just been destroyed by this. Absolutely destroyed by it.
Yeah. I definitely get the sense that, like, Alethia is kind of going through this, like, well, how it seems anyway, is she's kind of just, when she's just started to get over the loss of someone, it's happened again, and then she's just kind of started to get over something, and then something else has happened. It feels very, not even roller coastic. It feels like, okay, you're starting to go up, and then it's down again. And it's starting to come up, and it's just this constant.
And
dropping.
Every time it happens, it just gets worse and worse and worse. But yeah, I think Turd's death has hit her harder than it normally would have, but that's again because Turd was the last remnant of Lynn.
Yeah,
it feels like that's it. That's it. All ties are cut. Lynn is gone. You know. So I think it's a mix of different things, and she's having a bit of a rough time, bless her.
Yeah, I do feel really bad for. Well, both really good and really bad for you as a player as well. Like just now, because where you've, like, obviously this is your first game, but it's so quickly become such an emotionally entrenched game.
Yes.
Like, and for that, I feel both good and bad, because it's the one thing that I've always found that people very quickly disconnect from the okay, we're going to run in and hit things. If I die, oh, that's fine. But then, like, you've done such a good job of, like, emotionally becoming the character, and it just so happens that a lot of shit has happened to your character as we've gone on, or like indirectly, like not like directly this has happened. I'd say the most has probably happened to Opal, because she just keeps running in
Opal brings
places,
that on herself, and then we.
Yes, whereas this is like this is indirect emotional pain,
but you know, I mean, Alethia did play a small part in Opal's death, which she did feel terrible about, because again, you know, someone died, but it was because of her, and luckily she managed to redeem herself and bring Opal back. That was it.
Sorry, I've just read one of the comments from Mr. Hyde Rabbit. So it feels bad, says the DM who causes all the pain.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't feel bad for causing for the things that happen. I feel bad for the fact that it's your first game. If you're a veteran player, I wouldn't feel bad, but it's just the fact it's your first game.
I'm enjoying it. I really am. And it's a massive learning curve for me as well, obviously, because it's literally the first campaign I've ever been in. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before. So I had to really quickly pick up the game mechanics and what the different classes were and what spells I had and work those spells. Come up with sort of strategy in combat situations, working off whatever I had in my list, you know. And it's only just recently now, sort of Friday, I think it was the first time that I've properly put a plan in place for what I'm going to do next. So with the wild shape shifting in midair and trying to land on the back of the what was it, wyvern?
The wyvern. Honestly, for that, I lowered the DC so much because it was so fucking cool. But you still
What did I
couldn't
roll
do
a
it.
10 or something? It was just ridiculous.
Well, it went from like when you initially said kind of what you were going to do, I was like, it's a moving wyvern. It's got to be like DC 20, like DC 17 at least. And then as you were started explaining it, I was like, actually, that's really cool. Let's make it DC 12 because you can't miss a 12, and then you fucking missed the 12.
I know. I was so sad because I was just like, oh right, I've planned this out and it's going to be amazing. Then I rolled a 10.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really good idea.
Bounced off the wyvern, I tumbled onto the ground and just bleated at it.
It's just one of those things where I think, like, it's the difference between video games and dice games, where not everything works out as you thought it would, and you've just got to work around it.
Because I started out that combat as a bat. Because I was very nervous, and I think the whole party were a little bit nervous about going into that combat, considering what we were fighting and who we were fighting. So I'm not going to lie. Like, if everyone got decimated in like 3 turns, I would have flown the hell out of there. Like, I'd been like, "Hi guys," batting away. Like, nah, I'd have been gone.
Away.
Turd, and then probably had like a complete mental breakdown when all my party were dead, and then I found Turd, and then the rat was so I mean, it wouldn't have ended either way, to be honest, but I still would have been alive, but it's fine because all for the best. We had a happy Rünlák with his beautiful plate armor.
Yeah, it would that is pretty cool, I have to say. Is there anything like pre-stream that hasn't been brought back up that like kind of has been revealed to the party that hasn't been revealed on stream yet, that you think is kind of common knowledge to the party that the viewers don't know, that you feel is okay, it's probably like the jig's up, or to use Haston's words, the jig is up.
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Is there anything that the party know that the streamers don't, that you think, okay, it's probably worth the viewers knowing?
I think the party were aware that Lynn wasn't Samson's biggest fan.
No.
Alethia wasn't either. She just managed to hide it a bit better.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was kind of clear that between the two of you, Samson wasn't well favoured.
And I think there was a moment, and I think Opal potentially heard us muttering something about Samson at some point, but I don't think anything really sort of happened. But it was a sort of like a schemey type thing, and Opal sort of overheard it because she was close enough and her perception was there. I think that's the only thing that jumps to mind at the moment. I'll have a wee think.
Yeah, well, if there's anything, but if you can think of anything before we finish, then do just jump in.
It's difficult to remember because I mean, what are we on now? Week 24 or something. Like, we're quite.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is session 20. I think session 28 or something, something like that. Yeah, so we're quite away.
But
a question for you, that just from me, how How do you think meeting Haston has affected Alethia?
Yeah, I think she's very conflicted.
Mm.
Was sort of, as I say, she'd never had any sort of elven influence when she was growing up. So there's a lot about the world and a lot about the stigma attached to the drow that she's not really aware of. All she sort of knows is those are kinds of elves. You know, I mean, she's
Yeah.
experienced in this at all. And I mean, Lynn told her sort of surface levelly type stuff about elves, as much as he knew, sort of just from being out and about in the world. But it's not anything in great detail. So she's still very much, this is a person who could potentially give me the knowledge that I'm looking for, you know, sort of fill that gap in life that she's always felt. She's never felt like she belonged. She's never had a place. She's never really known about her heritage or, you know, what it is to be an elf and things like that. And this is a person who can potentially give her that. At the same time, she's sort of got this instinctual wariness of him because he's a necromancer. And it's more of an instinctual thing. Sort of, obviously, she's a druid, and she just sort of feels it, and she's conflicted that she likes Haston and she understands why he's doing what he's doing, but she's still really uneasy about it, and that's obviously causing a lot of conflict in other aspects of their relationship because she does like him, and she just doesn't quite know what to do or how to approach it.
I think this is the first time you have ever said that Alethia does like Haston.
It came out on the throne.
Oh, it did come out on the throne. It did come out on the throne.
Garbled, blah, 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 blah. So not been caught by everyone, but yeah.
I definitely.
Oh, Opal and Bess definitely caught it.
Definitely. Yeah. Cool. Right, let's move on to some questions from the viewer that are watching right now. So, worst case scenario asks, you might see some of the same names pop up again, but worst case scenario asks, who do you feel, who does Alethia feel closest to in the group since Lynn's death?
Oh, I think that's difficult, actually. She's still not 100% convinced on Samson. So sort of doesn't try to avoid him most time, but you know, she's not around unless she has to be with Samson. I don't know. She's not really bonded a great deal with the other girls. Yeah, I'm not actually sure if she's really that close to anyone now that Lynn's gone. I think it was starting to develop. It's starting to build, and she's starting to put a little bit more trust into people in the party. She's not there yet, though, so I can't really say she's close to anyone at the moment. I think that's
I would say that I would support you in that, like just seeing how you play and like what you've developed in the character. I'd say that's a pretty fair answer. Ross Plays Drums asks, who does Alethia view the most suspiciously / warily?
There we go. Samson, definitely.
Samson, 100%.
Without a doubt, and that's definitely a fallout thing from her time with Lynn.
Yeah. Mr. Hype Rabbit asks, how did it feel for Alethia, the novice, to be the power player in the last battle? So killing both Sundith and the Wyvern.
Yeah, it felt.
I was impressed, I have to say.
I was super proud. I think it was very much a moment of everyone else had been really doing their absolute most to take these guys down. And I just kind of came in at the end and just lobbed 3 fireballs at them both, and I rolled well. But
Yeah.
it was definitely a very proud moment. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I was proud of you, I have to say. I was proud of you. It's all right. Slew_7 asks, how have you enjoyed developing the character live on screen?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's so obviously I know all of you guys through theatre stuff and acting and doing the thing, but something that I have always struggled with, and I've never been comfortable with it, I've hated it, it just makes me really anxious, has been improv. And you obviously have to have that when you're playing this, because you need to be able to think on your feet, you need to be able to give answers, you need to be able to plan ahead, like 3 moves ahead as to where you want this to go. And it's been quite nice for me to be able to develop that as well, and it feels natural, and it doesn't feel like I'm letting everyone down if I don't quite know what to say in that moment, because someone else is going to jump in and have something to say, so it's a really nice non-pressure environment to be able to sort of develop that, and that's been
Well, I'd say you're getting quite good at it, I would say. I think you're doing well. I'm trying to big you up as much as possible, because first campaign, all this kind of stuff.
It took a while, but I'm getting there now, and I kind of feel a bit more confident with what I'm doing. And if I make a move, it's not going to be really stupid, and I'm not going to have to message you before I do it going, "Can I do this?" Which was
you just go with it. Because usually, if I'm not gonna lie, if any of you are ever messaged me and say, "Is this a good idea?" I'll just ignore it and wait for you to maybe do it.
I did notice.
just from a because if you ask me, "Oh, could I try this?" and then I go, "Yeah," then I feel if it went wrong, I would feel a bit bad. So I'll just let you try and do it in game and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Worst case scenario again asks, who does Alethia ship in the party?
Ooh.
Bit of a fun question.
Ooh. I don't know, maybe Samson and his reflection. Like, I feel like that's kind of what we're doing at the moment with it. I'm not quite sure there's any other shipping to be done, really. If it's Alethia's viewpoint.
I mean, it's a fair viewpoint. It's a fair thing to ask. I would totally agree.
I don't think Samson would argue with that, to be honest.
No, I don't think he would either. Next, Slew asks 2 questions. I'll just, because it's 2 in a row, may as well ask them both together. If you could have the chance to play any other player for 1 session, who would it be and why? And also, do you hope that Alethia and Haston do develop a kind of romantic relationship in some way?
Ooh, no. What other player would I like to be for a night? Not sure. Probably Bess, actually, because if I wasn't playing druid, I probably would have gone bard, and because of the first campaign that I've done, it would be quite nice to see that that class and how that sort of all works in the background. And also, she has little snakes on her hair. It's adorable, and I love that.
It is pretty cool.
Do I hope Haston and Alethia develop something? I mean, sure, it would be very much, that could cause quite severe complications down the line if they met other sort of elf kind that are just like, right, Romeo and Juliet situation here, it's forbidden kind of thing. So, I mean, for RP-wise, it could be great for the story. It could also be good for their characters, because it would give them other motivations, their priorities might change. I mean, Haston's pretty set on his mission, So it could just end up with Alethia having her heart broken.
Could
I
do.
mean, who knows? I mean, sure, we'll see how things progress.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it would go.
Mhm.
That's what I'd be interested to see. But it's your character, so you feel free to say whatever you want. Mr. Hype Rabbit asks, did Alethia's adoptive parents support her leaving?
Okay, so she wasn't adopted. She had a human mum and an elf dad, and she just lived with her mum. She never met her dad. It was actually her mum that sent her off on her initial quest. Her mum was very ill, and she wanted Alethia to go and find someone. So yeah, she fully supported her going off on the quest. That's a
Nice.
Yeah, she just, unfortunately, it was the last time that Alethia saw her mum, because she left home and now she's in this dungeon, and well,
Yeah.
it's
Shit's gone
very
down.
sad. So yeah, support was
Yeah. Slew_7 asks, what have you enjoyed most about D&D so far?
It's just a different form of being able to perform, I suppose, and it's been a creative outlet during a time that has been very, very difficult for those of us who are creative people. Obviously, none of us have been able to do any live theatre or singing, no performance at all. And it's just been a really, really lovely space to be creative in. And it's definitely been needed. I think everyone's struggled over the last year and a half. And this has just been one of the ways that I'm sure you guys will probably agree that's helped sort of.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
And that's been really, really nice.
Well, so I've kind of come to the kind of sad realization. I think I prefer this more. I still love theatre, and I love singing, and I love dancing, and I love acting and being on stage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the games and the voices and like that side of things, I think that's more my jam. But still love all the dancing and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's great to prance about on stage. But there's nothing like doing the voice of a goblin entirely devoted to his mistress and will do anything for her. Can't really do that on on the stage in My Fair Lady, you know. Other shows are indeed available.
Yes, shows are available.
Other shows are
no, you're quite
available.
right, and I think there's a lot more range with this as well. You get more characters, and they come along rapidly as well. So you're always having to think on your feet and change. And no, I get you.
Yeah, it's fine. Mr. Hype Rabbit asks, we will start reining in questions now, just so we're kind of on time. But Mr. Hype Rabbit asks, why hasn't Alethia bonded with the other females in the group? Like, what's drawing her back?
I think she was just very wary of making relationships with these people, because as I think I mentioned before, I mean, the initial plan wasn't really to stick around for that long, so she didn't really bank on these people actually being decent and people that she actually started liking and wanting to actually stay with. And it's that wall, it's that defense mechanism of being alone for so long. Sort of, I mean, yes, she had her mum, but that's really all she had. So she's always had to, because she's always had to hide, she's never been able to just be herself. It's really difficult for her to let people in. And I think that's one of the main reasons. And I think it's just the personalities in the group as well. Like, she's never met anyone like Opal before. Like,
No.
Opal is just a ball of chaos, and she's just bouncing off the walls constantly. And it's really overwhelming for Alethia, having grown up in a
Yeah.
sleepy little mountain village. She's never experienced anything like that. So she's had to learn quite quickly how to deal with different kinds of people as well. And she's not always said the right thing. She's not always done the right thing. Learning how to handle people. And it's just that sort of growth in social skills more than anything else.
Yeah. That makes sense. I would also say that I've what age do you have Alethea down as? Never
Yeah,
something
I
I've
think
asked.
sort of early 20s, sort of.
Yeah, well, it's just where the other girls are much
Mhm.
younger, where they play as
Yeah.
like 16s. Maybe there's that extra bit of
Yeah, no,
maturity there
definitely. I
that
mean,
as
it could be
well.
the sort of case that she takes on
But
a more matronly role at some point going forward, you know, because
who knows? Who knows
the
what's
situation
going to
calls for
happen?
it. But yeah,
Yeah. Ryan is asking directly. Would you let Haston resurrect Turd as a zombie for the extra HP a zombie has?
oh, potentially. I don't know. Does that break the deal for the? You
Um,
didn't say anything about
I
being a zombie. You just said we had to get into the end of the campaign.
I did say you had to get him to the end of the campaign, but by that I mean I kind of meant in one piece. If you I would go with if you resurrected him,
Okay.
then that's cool because he's back to life. But he's not. If he was to become a zombie, if you were able to find, if you were
Mhm.
able to do that, it's a bit
Mm,
ropey, I would say, because he's technically not himself anymore. He is just a zombie version of that
mhm.
goblin.
Well, we'll discuss that later.
We will. Right, last last two questions. They are unnamed, so sorry for whoever asked them. How much of yourself do you see in Alethea?
Um, quite. I think there's quite a bit actually. Because she's my first character, I think I'm drawing on a lot of what I might do in a situation. Not all the time. Certain moments I've definitely gone, I'm gonna punch that tiefling in the face. Like I'm not
Yeah,
punching, but she just killed my turd, so she was getting punched in the
she did. She did literally make your turd
face.
pass.
Oh.
I've been running those jokes in my head all
Yeah.
week. It's like the
Mhm.
passing of the
Mhm.
turd.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been moments where I've gone, "Oh, that's just definitely like a Lauren reaction to that situation." But I'm still learning. I can't really draw on anything else at the moment because she's my first character, first campaign. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to work out what my character would do in that situation because I'm not really sure what a druid would do in that situation. So I'm kind of just winging it, to be
Yeah,
honest. Yeah, I mean, I did choose the red hair for her because she's Circle of Wildfire. It's just very much a coincidence that I have matching hair.
yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Right. Last one. If you could sum up the theme of Alethea's journey in one word, what would that
Traumatic.
word be? Traumatic. I mean,
It's been pretty
I would
traumatic
use a
so far,
similar
to be
word.
honest. I mean, there's stuff
Very
going down
traumatic.
before she even met the party, so the party don't know what's going on, obviously.
Yeah.
You know,
Reading your backstory was a dream, I have to say.
yeah, it
It was
wasn't
very
quite as
good.
good as Ross's one, but
And I,
I was close. I was close. It was still
I mean, you were close, and I think you would have beaten Ross's if Ross hadn't submitted more.
yeah, it's
But
been a journey
it has, and this is but the beginning
indeed.
of that journey.
Yes. Yeah. And I need to learn how to pronounce these spells as well.
It's all right. It comes with time and
There's so many of them.
practice.
Like Revivify. I'm like, Is it revivify or is it
Revivify.
revivify? Because it feels like it should be revivify because you are reviving someone. Why is it
It's
revivify? This
revivify.
makes no sense.
It is revivify.
And I will be making these mistakes
But
on air, and I'm not sorry because I'm learning.
you've heard me try and pronounce people's names. Half of it is just.
I'm pretty sure there was someone who was casting a spell. Oh, I know it was, but they yelled out "shillelagh" or something like that. I think you and Ryan just went, "Huh?" I can't even remember what spell it was. But you know the one.
Well, shillelagh was the spell, but I think it was Opal was casting shillelagh,
Right.
but she didn't say it
It
right.
is
I was like,
shillelagh, but
it's
I can't even
shillelagh.
remember how you pronounced it, Slew.
Yeah, shillagalag, I think it was.
Yeah, and it was absolutely brilliant. Shellac.
Yes.
I think that should just be the name of it from now on because I can get that.
Maybe.
Take it and just be like shallagalag every now and again.
Shillagalag. Cool. Right. Thank you, Lauren, for being a fantastic guest. We now have. I kind of like this. Everyone getting asked who would they play in the next campaign. So we're going to keep that bit in as a formal segment. Because then we have 2 votes for Bess at the moment. 2 votes for Bess. So who knows? It might be a 5-1 because Ruth will have to vote for someone else. She
That's
can't
true,
vote for herself.
although Ryan did choose Rünlák, didn't he?
No, I chose Rünlák. He chose. I think he chose Bess.
Yes, right.
Ryan, can you confirm that?
Yeah, no, Ryan did because he normally plays a bard.
Yes, that's very true.
For the people at home, it's because Bard is the best class and you cannot convince me otherwise. It's just the best.
I'll bear that in mind if Alethia comes to
Yeah, and I voted for Rünlák.
Yes,
I voted for Rünlák. But yeah, thank you ever so much for coming on. It's been a great pleasure to have you. So everyone, thank you for watching. So the we are now. I said on Friday. I forgot to do formal announcements at the beginning. We are now in podcast form as well. You can definitely find us on Spotify. I also think we're available on Google now. I don't know where we're at with Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, but we're working on it. So yeah, you can find us there to listen, catch up in podcast form if you want. VOD episodes 0, 1, and 2 are currently available on YouTube in VOD form. Episode 3 is still on Twitch. Well, that'll be out on Friday. Just a quick reminder, this Friday, it's not going to be the normal session. It is going to be a arena-style one-shot written by the incredible Ryan. You're not there for it, are you, Lauren? If I remember rightly.
It's an excellent tackle, Ryan.
Yes. I can't remember if you're there or not,
No,
Lauren,
can't
but
make
it
it,
doesn't matter if
unfortunately.
not. No. It will be Rünlák, Opal, Haston, and Samson, all 20th level, going ham at something, but you will have to find out. You'll have to tune in to find out what. But yeah, so VOD of episode 3 will be available on Friday, as well as in podcast form. When I do it. I have to do it first. But yeah, thank you very much for joining in with us, and we will see you on Friday.